Hey guys, Bob here. I hope you're doing well. And today it's going to be quite a quick video. Hopefully you find it really informative. It's just going to be a quick A/B comparison of some overhead mic positions. Well, actually, that's not quite true. It's the same position. The microphones are just going to be angled slightly differently. So you can probably see them behind me here. We've got these two mic stands, and then we've got these two overhead mics set up in a spaced pair configuration. And today we're using the Earthworks SR25s, which are amazing microphones. Highly recommend these if you're looking for some drum kit overhead mics. Now the first thing we're going to try is just a regular spaced pair. They're going to be centered on the drum kit, meaning that the kick and snare are going to be our center line. So we're going to have kick and snare. Usually if you're sitting behind the drum kit, they veer off to your right a little bit. So that's actually going to be our center line. And then we're going to go the overheads based off that line. Now the reason for this is that we want our kick and snare to be centered in our stereo image, and this should help us achieve that. So what we've got a left and right microphone. Now our left microphone is going to be positioned somewhere above the hi-hat, snare, and crash. It's kind of where all of those would meet, if that makes sense, directly above it. So we're not above any one thing, but we should pick up all three of those on the left mic, which is this one here. And then on the right mic, that's going to be above our floor tom, middle tom, the right-hand crash cymbal, and a right cymbal, okay? So again, not directly above any of those, but it should be picking up all of those nice and clearly. So I know when I'm hearing things, I forget it like that. So an A/B comparison is really, really good for me to hear a couple bars of one, a couple bars of another. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna record a similar thing. I'm gonna try and do it as exact as I can. And we're gonna bounce back and forth between the first one, the second one, the first one, the second one. So our first one's gonna be the mics pointing straight down as they are set up behind me right now. And the second demo that we're gonna do, all I'm gonna do is angle those mics so that the capsule is pointing directly towards the snare drum. So the position isn't gonna change as such, just the orientation of the mics are gonna be pointing towards the snare drum. And I just wanna see exactly what that does and how that compares to having them pointing straight down. So of course you want to measure your microphones using something. I'm going to be using a measuring tape today. You can also use an XLR cable or just anything you have lying around. Now the reason for this is because the snare drum is the loudest thing on the drum kit generally. So what we want to make sure is that the sound arrives in both of these microphones at the same time from that loudest source on the drum kit. Now this is going to save us from having any phase issues down the line as well, meaning that they're not going to cancel each other out. And if we zoom in, which I'll do after I've recorded, just to double check that we're in phase. So each mic signal should be going up at the same time and also down at the same time. Very roughly, they don't have to be exact, but as long as they're not going in opposite directions. So these mics are both 118 centimeters from the center of the snare drum to the bottom of the microphone where the capsule is. And the distance between the two microphones today is 84 centimeters. All right, that's enough talking from me. So I'm gonna get behind the drums. I'm going to do some recording. I'm going to put that together for you so that you can hear it nice and clearly. And let's see what it sounds like. All right, so there we have it. A couple of different examples. Before we go any further, I would like to hear your comments before I say anything about what I think of this sounds like. I'd like you just to pause this video for a second. Tell me in the comments, which one did you prefer? Why? Did you hear a difference? Did you not hear a difference? Just let me know what you thought of that. What do I think? Well, I don't think there's too much between the two different positions here. I think they're very, very similar. I think if you wanted a different sound altogether, you're better changing up. Instead of doing a spaced pair, well, in fact, you could stick to the spaced pair and try different spacings. So today we had 84 centimeters between them. You could have even more, even less. You could play around some more with that center image being the kick of the snare, the line that's sort of diagonal that I talked about. So I think there's a lot more that you could do to get a different sound versus just pointing the capsule that we did today. But The difference between these two, I think the space pair pointing directly down is more satisfying to my ears. I think we get a bit more of a stereo spread. I think it captures that more accurately, or more nicely to my ears anyway. I think it's a bit narrower when we have the capsules pointing towards the snare drum. But with that said, I do think having the capsules towards the snare gives you a bit more of an attack, a bit more slap from that snare drum. Again, it's very discreet. You get a bit more overtones with it as well. I just had to listen to it back there a little bit, and I do think you hear more overtones with it pointing towards the snare drum, and you get that faster attack. So slightly different sound if that's what you're going for. There's a difference in cymbals with these two as well. So I think the microphone's pointing straight down. I think we get more definition from the cymbals, especially that ride cymbal. If you listen to the second half of what I just played, it's much more defined. You hear the stick actually playing the cymbal, versus when we have the microphones pointing towards the snare drum, I think we get a lot more wash coming from the cymbals. So again, that's personal taste. For me, I like things to be as clear and accurate most of the time. So I prefer that spaced pair pointing down. But if you want more of a washy sound, maybe some more psychedelic type of music or something like that, then yeah, you could definitely make use of pointing them towards the snare drum. And the last thing I really noticed, I had to loop the section where I played around the toms a few times and go back and forth. I do think the toms sound fuller with the pointed straight down configuration. Again, there's not much in it, but I do think there's a slight difference there. The toms sound just a bit warmer, a bit fuller, and again, more pleasing to my ear. There we have it, short and sweet. I'm hoping to do more videos like this as I keep messing around with these things. I mess around with these things a lot off camera, and I figure it's some good things to make videos out of, so that anyone else is interested, like yourself, get to see this and hear some A/B comparisons so that you don't even have to try this out. But I do encourage you, don't just take my word for it. Go and try this yourself, see what results you get, and let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.